Alright, today we are going to be looking at multiplying and dividing rational numbers or fractions. Again, hopefully just a review, as we should know how. These are just some important skills that we want to make sure we have under our belt. So when it comes to multiplying fractions, so let's look at this example here. Let's look at 2/5 times 1/3. If we look at 2/5 times 1/3, when it comes to multiplying fractions, it could not get any easier. We simply multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. So then we get 2/15. The only trick comes in the event that we come across a mixed number. So let's say that we have 3/5 times 1 1/2. Now, I despise mixed numbers, and most people in the math profession do as well. If you're going to give us anything that resembles a fraction, please, 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 please write it as an improper fraction, because mixed numbers are way too confusing. So we're going to get rid of this mixed number by writing it as an improper fraction. So we're going to rewrite this as 3/5 times. The way we do that, we multiply the denominator, 2, times the whole number. So 2 times 1 is 2. Add the numerator, 3 over 2. And we multiply across. So 3 times 3 over 5 times 2. We're left then with 9/10. Alright, let's look at this one. We have 1/4 times 2/9. In this case, we have a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. So we can simplify those right away. We see this 2 and the 4. We can divide both of those by 2, which would turn this into a 1 and that into a 2. Now, when we multiply straight across, we can do a 1 times 1 over 2 times 9 and be left with 1/18. Alright, with fractions, multiplying, it's super easy. We're multiplying straight across the numerators, straight across the denominators, straight across the numerators, straight across the denominators. Now, in the event that we have a negative that comes into play, so let's say we had negative 3/4 times 3/8. What's going to happen is we're going to say negative, we're going to move that negative outside of any grouping that we have. So negative 3/4 times 3/8. We're going to treat this just like we would. So negative 3 times 3 over 4 times 8, which leaves us then with negative 9 over 32. Alright, before we can divide, there's one concept that we should go over, and that's finding the reciprocal. The reciprocal, poke through the paper, is a fancy term for the multiplicative inverse. So, if we were to find the reciprocal, we would be finding that rational number that, when multiplied by the original, we're left with 1. So for example, if we wanted the reciprocal of 3/8, we would find what times 3/8 equals 1, and that is 8/3, simply by flipping over the fraction. So we took 8/3. When we multiply, we can simplify 1 and 1, 1 and 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 over 1 is 1. Now, if we had to find the reciprocal of a mixed number, so 2 and 4/5, first we have to write it as an improper fraction. So 4 times 5, 5 times 2 is 10. plus 4 is 14 over 5. Now we need to find the reciprocal of 14 fifths. So we're going to take 14 fifths, flip it, 5 14ths. If you don't believe it, check it. Multiply 14 fifths by 5 14ths, and you bet you'll find 1. Alright, now let's divide rational numbers. Dividing rational numbers. So the way we divide rational numbers is also rather easy. It's like 1/2 step complicated, more complicated than multiplying. What we're going to do, so if we have 1/3 divided by 1/2, we're going to rewrite this as 1/3 times the reciprocal of our second term. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2 over 1. Multiply straight across, so 1 times 2 over 3 times 1, and that is 2/3. Easy as that. Let's do this one. So, B. We have 3/8 divided by 2/3. Well, we take 3/8 and multiply it by the reciprocal of our second fraction. So 3/2 multiply across 3 times 3 over 8 times 2, and we get 9 over 16. We may have a mixed number in there, so if we have 3/4 divided by 2.5, I'm first going to rewrite this as 3/4 divided by, so let's see, 2 times 2, that's 4 times 5, 5/2. So now I'm going to say 3/4 times 2/5. I took the reciprocal of that second fraction. And when it comes to multiplying, I can simplify that as 1 and 2. So 3 times 1 over 2 times 5. And we get 3/10. Let's look at one more. Let's get some negatives. So we have negative 1/5 divided by negative 3/10. So we're going to take negative 1/5 times negative 10/3. I'm going to simplify this to 2, this to 1. When I do negative, and I'm going to treat those negatives in the numerator, so negative 1 times negative 2 over 1 times 3, and we're going to be left with 2/3. Alright, let's look at our homework, our practice problems. Our practice problems, we're on page 35 in the iBook, numbers 11 through 41 odds. Number 11 through 41 odds. So we're going to start off with number 11, which is multiplying 2/5 times 3/7. Remember, with multiplying, we're going straight across. 2 times 3 over 5 times 7. Make that 6 over 35. We got to check. Can we reduce? Is there a common factor between 6 and 35? Nope. Always remember again, check to reduce. However, with multiplication, when we would reduce before we multiplied, that oftentimes eliminates our need to reduce here in the end. All right? Have fun.